little introduction too. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Mr. Lee today. So hopefully he appreciates that. All right. So I'm here to talk about pharmacy and talk about the whole like pathway to get to that point, to get to the point where where I'm currently a student. Um, I saw there was a comment saying that you thought my name was Stefan. I know that's like the lifetime struggle I've always had when I was a kid, and it doesn't help that that Steph Curry is alive today. So, but yeah, it's pronounced as Steven. So just to get the record straight, let me advance my slides here. So I was born and raised in the Bay Area. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the Bay Area, but I'm specifically from a little town called Castro Valley. It's about, I would say, about 20 minutes away from Oakland. I'm about 30 minutes away from SF. And if you're familiar with the San Jose area, I'm probably about 40 minutes. So I'm kind of like right in the middle. Um, I grew up with my mom and dad, and I do have one brother. And as Peter alluded to, I'm a huge sports guy. My favorite sports, football, basketball, baseball. But these days, what I absolutely love doing and do all the time, especially during the pandemic, is that I run a lot, as you can see by that 10-mile run that Peter stole. And I also lift a lot of weights as well. I invested in a whole weightlifting set during the pandemic just to make sure, keep making the gains. But I grew up playing football. I remember when I was in your guys' shoes uh, so many years ago. I played football for my team. I even played in middle school. I played flag football back in the day. But then other than that, I played basketball with my friends for fun. And I even played a little volleyball too. I was on a varsity volleyball team, but we're kind of a bunch of scrubs. So don't play me. I'm not that good. And then my teams are the Vegas Raiders, which is hecka weird. I don't like saying that. I always know them as the Oakland Raiders, but then I like the Niners, the Warriors, and the A's. And I know Peter loves that when I say I love the A's. So
Yes, we love getting students A's in their class, like students getting A's in their classes. Yes.
yeah. So yeah, as you can see, I'm a huge Bay Area guy. I'm rooted here, so it's all about me. But I also love to take pictures too. The pandemic, I had to be a little bit creative in terms of how I could, I guess, entertain myself. So I took a lot of pictures during the pandemic. Here's just some pictures that I took in Santa Cruz. This is where me and Peter so fortunately went to school at. And I actually took this in December of 2020. So just a few months ago. But as you can see here, I don't know if you guys love the beach, but I'm a huge beach guy and it's just amazing out here. I know you guys are in SoCal, so I'm sure you know what that's all about. Um, and here's the East Bay. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bay Area lingo, but East Bay is like regions of like Oakland, Hayward, Fremont area, if you guys are familiar with any of those terms. But on the left, this is just a place in Berkeley. And then the middle photo is a lake in my hometown of Castro Valley. And on the right is actually on one of my runs during the sunset, also in my hometown of Castro Valley. So yeah, I kind of became somewhat of a photographer during the pandemic. Pretty proud. Um, but then here's San Francisco. I don't know if Peter told you, but I currently go to school in San Francisco. Obviously not in person, but definitely have the opportunity to at least explore the city. And yeah, just some pictures here. On the left is just a pier in the city. The middle is obviously Golden Gate, but that's a beach called Baker Beach. And on the right is just the opposite view of Baker Beach. So yeah, just some sick views I was able to indulge in myself during the pandemic. And then here's my little tidbit on Mr. Lee and what he's so I don't know, so nicely called us the scenic lords. The
It
only
was one
reason why,
time, actually multiple times.
nah, when we were talking last night, he definitely called us scenic lords. But the only reason why scenic is because that's the street that we lived on. So, and Peter had to be a little creative with it, so we depend on him to keep us entertained in that way. But yeah, man, scenic bros for life. That's that's one of the cool things about going away for school. I'm not sure if anyone is thinking about. I know you guys are like 15 or 16 years old right now. Is that right? Um, but moving away for college was probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. If anyone is able to, can anyone like use the raise hand option? Who is like interested in actually moving away for college, or at least going to four-year university?
Okay, perfect. So
All right,
Anna's one, Jade.
cool, cool. Cool, thanks guys. But yeah, one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, mostly just because I met these amazing individuals who I call my lifelong friends. And you just learn how to become the person you want to be, and it's just really cool. And yeah, I'll guess I'll save that because I'm going to be talking a little bit more about this a little bit later. Oops, sorry. So then, obviously, I had to bring sports to school too. Here are some pictures of some of all my, or actually all my football teams, and then of course our dodgeball team on the right here. So I was able to win 2 championships with Mr. Lee, and yeah, we were killing it back then. But I'm not sure if we could do that today. It's been a little while since I even touched a football, but yeah, yeah. So that's it about me, just me as a person, me as Steven. Now I'm gonna just kind of get into me as a pharmacy student, kind of give you a little spiel about the path, just about what pharmacy school is all about, and of course, what's most importantly is like why pharmacy, why a pharmacist, and what is a pharmacist. So before I get started, does anyone like have any questions, any comments for me? Um, any questions about Mr. Lee and how cool he is? All right. You can always chat me too if you want to be secret, if you don't want to tell Mr. Lee. All right. So what is a pharmacist? So that was kind of cool that Mr. Lee kind of gave you that little exercise, but I'm going to debunk that so bad because we're not just people that you see at CVS. Although I would say that the majority, like a good amount of pharmacists today who graduate from pharmacy school still go to CVS, to Walgreens, and to like Vaughn's or something like that. So this is my definition on the top of my head. So we are medication experts that we use our knowledge that we learn in school and also our rotations. And what I mean by rotations is that during school, we rotate at hospitals, we rotate at like Walgreens or CVS's and in other different health systems where we apply this knowledge to help patients either directly or indirectly. And I'm going to give you a little bit more of a better idea of what that means. But at the core of it, we are medication experts. So we know everything what a medication is. So it's not just how it works, it's how the body reacts to it. It's kind of a two-way street, right? But also how to dose it, right? Because you don't want to give too much to a patient, right? Because then that might make them even more sick. And you don't want to give them too little because a disease that you may be trying to fight might actually overcome the medication if it's too little. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, here's the direct. So here, retail pharmacy. At the core, yes, we do receive something called prescriptions. And what we mean by that is that we receive like an order from the doctor, either if it's like from his or her office or either from you as the patient, we read it and then we simply fill it. And that's what most people end with. Most people just think like, oh, you just fill prescriptions, that's all you do. Well, not necessarily. There's a reason why we spend so much time in school, and there's a reason why we're licensed to be pharmacists. So we don't just fill it. So I'll just leave you with this. The reason why it takes us so long to fill medications is the number one thing that we learn as pharmacists is that we want to ensure the safety based on the patient's diagnosis, as well as like allergies and stuff like that. Because the one thing we want to make sure is that the patients don't get more sick And of course, the patient gets a lot better. So, but of course, there's much, much more. I could talk a little bit more at the end if you have more questions about that. But that's like kind of like the core of like what we call retail pharmacy, or the pharmacist you see at CVS or Walgreens. And then another direct patient care is in clinical pharmacy. So there's actually pharmacists in the hospital. So if any of you have had family, friends that have been in a hospital for a really critical condition, whether it be for like a heart attack, whether it be for a stroke or stuff like that, a lot of times a pharmacist will be there to ensure that we have the right medication, one, right? Because there's thousands of medications out there. Make sure you have the right one, but it's also you make sure you dose it correctly, right? Again, you don't want to do too much, you don't want to do too little, right? And these drugs or these medications are in hospitals are so risky because these drugs can potentially, cause you not to have what I say like really good outcomes. So it's really complicated. That's what I'm learning. It's really hard, but that's like what hospital pharmacists do. Anyone have any questions about that? That kind of a lot of information about that part.
Yeah. And then if you guys have any questions, oh yeah, there you go. Thank you, Mr. Daya. So Stephen, so far we have one question from Anna. Why did you choose this career?
Oh, okay. I do have a whole slide dedicated to that, so I will get to that. All right. Let's see, where is my chat? Or people, can you just monitor the chat?
Yeah, got you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have one from Victor where it's, what are the benefits of the career?
I am going to talk a little bit about that, why I chose it. That's all going to be on that slide. Ask me again if it's not clear to you.
Yeah. And then last question from Jade. Where did you start?
Again, I have a whole nother slide about that. So,
yeah.
And Mr. Lee, how many more minutes do I have? Can I have
so you have until you have basically like the whole, you have until 3:30, Stephen, but we can take like a 5-minute break at 3:00 as well, and then and then you can answer more questions as well. Use the time how you would use best. Okay.
Yeah, I actually have plenty of stuff on here, so I think I can take the whole time, but I do want to give a break to the students as well. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Where's the so yeah, we'll go. So yeah, let's go until 3, and then we'll give them a 5-minute break. Okay.
All right, guys. Okay, so the next part, so about a pharmacist, I talked about an indirect care. So if that makes sense, so direct care, I'm actually have a patient in front of me. I'm able to talk to the patient, give them information about the drug, and actually care for them, right? But then there's also another role for pharmacists where we worked indirectly. And these are pharmacists that work for either a big corporation or even for a university. And these are going to be people who don't wear the white coats. It's exactly what I'm wearing right now. Just basically just a normal working person. So one area specifically, a lot of times in universities, but in some big corporations as well, pharmacists could do research. I don't know if any of you are really interested in researching or just in research. But what pharmacists would do, obviously, is just really discover life-saving drugs. And it's amazing because I'm not sure if you know the companies called Genentech or Gilead. These are Bay Area companies. But people at these companies, they make life-saving drugs for like cancers, for diseases like HIV. And Gilead specifically, they made a drug for COVID-19. And yeah, which is amazing. And there's a lot of pharmacists who are on that team to help a lot of people help develop that drug. And there's so many different steps, but I'm not going to tell you because there's actually a lot and it's kind of complicated. And honestly, it's kind of boring too. But my third point here, these are just different areas that you could work at in these companies. But again, if you have separate questions about what these terms mean, please write it down. We could talk about it later, but I just don't want to bore you because it's kind of a lot. All right, so I'm now just going to get to me as a student. And here's just some fast facts. So yeah, I currently go to the University of California, San Francisco. It's a graduate school only. So that's what's different about like UC Santa Cruz that we went to. Because at UC Santa Cruz, that's what you call an undergraduate. And at UC Santa Cruz, they also offer graduate programs. So basically, a graduate program is you have to have an undergrad program in order to get into that. It kind of makes your education more, I guess, more focused. And yeah, I guess that's what I'll leave you with that. But UCSF is also really cool because not only it's a graduate level, but it's also specifically in the health professions. So as you can see here, we have med school, dentistry, physical therapy, and nursing, but we also have PhD and master's program focus on health. So the master's programs that we have like global health master's programs where you can actually go to places like Africa, which is really cool because you could help with like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the disease called malaria. Malaria kills thousands of people every year, and people in the master's programs try to figure out ways that you could help these people on an international level. So if you want to explore the world, that's also a very cool program to get into, and you also help people as well. I'm a first year pharmacy student, about to end my first year. I'm in my last quarter, so super exciting. It's a 3-year, year-round program, which is one less year than other programs, which is really nice. So I could get to work a lot faster. There's about 100 to 128 classes or students per class. I have 120 students in my class, and then of course during this year because of COVID, I've been on Zoom. So fortunately, I actually have met a lot of my classmates, but I don't have that face-to-face interaction to meet with them, or a lot of them. So here's a picture of my campus. So what's super unique about this pharmacy school is that we are located right next to a hospital, and specifically it's a UCSF hospital. The only reason why I put the ranking on here, it's not to brag, it's not to say that I'm like amazing or anything. It's just a fact that I'm around people who are saving lives and using uh, I don't know, using like these treatments and stuff that is like state of the art that only hospitals like UCSF can use. So again, I know that's very vague. I just don't want to talk too much about it and take too much of your time. But if you have questions about what makes UCSF hospitals so great and why I just feel like the knowledge and just the pedigree of being there, you could ask me at the end as well. But yeah, that's definitely a reason why I want to go to UCSF specifically. Okay, so to become a pharmacist. So how long does it take to become a pharmacist? So I think there's a question like where did I start or whatever. So it all started when I went to UC Santa Cruz. Most programs, at least in California, requires a bachelor's degree. So it's gonna be about 4+ years. There's some pharmacy programs in the US where it doesn't require. All you have to do is complete a set of classes for whatever they require without completing a degree. But I do not know which programs they are. Programs are about 3 to 4 years. Again, a reminder, UCSF is a 3-year program now. Then after that, you can do this if you like the 1 to 2 years of residency or a fellowship. That's totally up to you. But what a residency is, I would work in a hospital or a clinical setting where I basically apply what I've learned in classes directly to patients. And then there's a fellowship, which is where I work in a lab for research, such as at an academic institution like UCSF, or a big corporation like those companies I talked about in the a little bit earlier, such as Genentech or Gilead. And the residency and fellowship, I am paid during that time. So it's not school related. So the total could be up to 10 years. So I know that sounds pretty crazy because I know you guys are only 15 or 16 years old. So that's way over half your lifespan. But I did this for the long run, right? Mr. Lee was saying like it's all worth it in the long run. And honestly, it doesn't feel like it. That it's been 10 years. I mean, I'm not at the 10-year mark, but um, it's all about lifetime, it's all about the long game when you consider careers like this or just any career in general. So don't be afraid. I've had plenty of time to enjoy my life during that span. So even today. So here's like real like the nitty gritty specifics of what I learned and why it takes so long and why it costs so much money, right, to attend pharmacy school. I know we had that question about how much does it cost. So for my school, it costs about $55,000 a year. So that's per year and times three, right? So just do the math. So above 150,000, right? And it's expensive, but I wouldn't say it's good reason because yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But we are offered an amazing curriculum and we definitely learn a lot differently than a lot of other pharmacy schools. So our curriculum here, it's organized based on organ systems. So as you see here, cardiovascular, so it has to do with like the heart, right? Respiratory, obviously with the lungs, and then renal, kidney, and so on and so forth. So I think that's super cool because it allows me to be really focused in what I'm learning, and I get to really focus on the disease states. I'll finish this slide and then we'll take a break. And then the main subjects, so pharmacology is just like how drugs work, physical chemistry. So I don't know if you guys taken chemistry yet, but physical chemistry is really looking at those molecules and how they actually interact with each other at the real. It's like really it's really complicated. It's really complicated, but that's physical chemistry, how they physically interact with each other. Then there's anatomy. So, of course, just body parts, physiology, how the body works inside, and then the pathophysiology, what happens when the body doesn't work right. And then lastly, there's therapeutics. How do I determine which drug to use for a patient and why, and how do I back it up? But just, I guess, to wrap up this slide here, the IPPE and APPE, this is non-paid. This is part of the curriculum, but this is where I'm able to actually apply that knowledge that I've learned in class and really see what I'm made of. So I actually help out patients. So I'm actually currently in my IPPE and where I actually help patients to this day. So, but yeah, that's me wrapping up. Should we do a break?
Yes. All right, guys. So
Yeah.
we're at that 3 o'clock mark. So I'm gonna give you guys that 5 minute break. So far you guys got really good content from Steven about pharmacy school. I'm gonna give you guys a 5 minute break to kind of just go stretch your legs, get some water, whatever it might be, and we'll be back together here around like when the timer is up. Okay. So let me share my screen so I can. So right now we are here to break. We are here at the break. Okay. So I'll give you guys like 5 minutes to kind of just like how you say 5 minutes just kind of get your get settled in, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes and Stephen will finish up and then he'll answer any questions you kids might have. Okay, excellent, super. All right, I'm gonna get some water. Drink water, guys. All righty. All right. So you guys should get settled in back from your break. So the 5 minute break is closing up, and then Steven is just gonna finish up his last bit, and then you guys can ask him any question you guys want about the pharmacy life, or just about his personal life or whatever it might be. Okay. So Steven, you may. So I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen, and you may go ahead.
All right. All right, guys. Hope you're doing okay. Um, I know that was a lot of information just about the career and the school. Particularly, I kind of understand if it's not as engaging just because there's kind of a lot and this is kind of all new information. But I hope that this next segment, you guys kind of appreciate kind of like the thinking of why I did it. So, why pharmacy? So why did I decide pharmacy? I know that was a question that was presented in the chat, but it was more of a question. It's like, why do I work? This is now coming from me and coming kind of like at the base of who I am. So number one is that money, right? We live in a world where kind of like money kind of does have to rule. And this is kind of something that I learned from my dad specifically. But of course, I've grown to understand this and appreciate this because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I can make money for myself, but I have my family to take care of as well. And that's something that is just so important for me. But then second is the fulfillment part of it. So fulfillment means something different to everybody. So what I'm going to be saying, I guess for the rest of the presentation is all me. And I'm totally fine if any of you guys like disagree with what I think, but this is what it means to me. So with that being said, fulfillment, number one for pharmacy, I wanted to impact people right away. And this is specifically in healthcare, right? Learning about medications, learning about disease states, and how I could actually help people just become better, right? And then second is to challenge myself mentally. The amount of information I've learned in pharmacy school is insane. I always think back at this, and this is not to disregard anything you guys are learning right now, but high school is so easy, to be honest. And with that being said, I'm not downplaying anything because high school was difficult for me when I was in your shoes. But what I'm learning right now, just multiply that by 100. Like, and I know what the kids say, no cap. You know what I'm saying on that. Um, but lastly, why I chose pharmacy and why didn't just choose other healthcare professions, such as like medicine, nursing, and stuff like that, is more the work-life balance. So work-life balance, I don't know if you guys heard that term. It's basically what it is. You balance your life, you balance work. I wanted to be at a point where I could have this fulfillment. I'm helping out patients, but I have my whole life that I could also live as well. I have my weekends. I'm able to do that. I'm able to go on vacations. I'm able to travel and stuff like that. And being a nurse and being a doctor, and again, this is just my opinion, it's very difficult to do that because medical school is a lot longer. And being a doctor or being a nurse, you work a lot. They are overworked. And I guess the fortunate thing about being a pharmacist, I'm not going to be like that. Just depending on the setting, but I have a more traditional kind of like 9 to 5 job in a lot of cases. So, and that's really important. And I guess in the top right, there's just my family and stuff. Just a very important aspect of how I make decisions on the daily. So here's the path. So my path after graduating from UC Santa Cruz, I was super scared. And I know you guys are 15, 16 years old, and you guys are going to be seniors in a couple years. And I already know that when I graduated from high school, I was scared too. But just think about graduating from UC Santa Cruz, that's like really becoming an adult. Have to figure out what are you going to do with your life? And that's what I was thinking about. I didn't know I wanted to be a pharmacist when I graduated from UC Santa Cruz. Honestly, I wanted to become a doctor, go to med school. But just going through everything I did and a lot of work and a lot of classes as well, like I did not stop learning. I did not stop going to school after I graduated. So I would do this at community college and stuff like that. And then I applied to UCSF and got rejected actually. So I actually applied twice. And I only applied to one school. The reason being because UCSF is such a prestigious institution, I just did not see myself going anywhere else. So I was willing to take another year and work some more and take some more classes. So I'm definitely, I know I said about 10 years to take to become a pharmacist. It's going to be a little bit longer for me, and that's okay. So I applied to UCSF again and I got in the second time. So as you see here, the timeline from when I graduated in June 2017, I finally got in July 2020. So that process, right? Because I didn't know I wanted to be a pharmacist when I graduated. It took about 3 years. It didn't feel like it. Well, sometimes it did, but um, I was willing to take it. I was willing to take the time. And, I didn't, sorry, I'm going to my fourth point here. I did feel the pressure from my peers. I mean, it's impossible not to think about what other people think about you. It's impossible not to look at other people and being like, oh, I should be doing that. Or look at them, they're already in school right out of college, like right out of graduating. And it's so important just to make sure that you just keep doing you, stay on your path. And because for me, it took me 3 years. Like a lot of my current classmates today, they went straight from their school, from their university. So I'm like 3 years older than them. So it's pretty crazy. But again, just focus on yourself, right? I'm just going to give you some Kobe quotes. I know I'm presenting to a SoCal class, so gotta rep SoCal a little bit. Of course, RAP Kobe. So the most important thing, great things come from hard work and perseverance, no excuses, right? Just talking about that work ethic, right? It took me 3 years to get to this point, right? Second, it's like, I don't want to be the next Michael Jordan. I only want to be Kobe Bryant. Again, just focusing on you, right? Don't focus on trying to be someone that you're chasing. The person you should be chasing is the best version of yourself. Third, I never try to prove anything to someone else. I wanted to prove something to myself, right? Yeah, family's important to me. I want to prove to them that I'm the best person, the best son that I can be. But at the end of the day, when you're all alone and stuff like that, it's all about you. It's only you. And that's kind of what helped me get to this point I am where I am today. And I just feel really good about it. But of course, I did consider other careers, right? I kind of talked a little bit about it, but these are some careers that I thought about. But what I'm trying to tell you with this is that you have to do this because there is so much out there. Some of you may want to go straight to med school. Some of you may want to be a teacher, right? Or whatever, right? That's fine. But there's just so much out there. I guess I would say you're doing yourself a little disservice by not at least trying a little bit. Look at what your options are because you never know, something better might be out there. But at the end of the day, with me considering all these things, none of these check the boxes that I had for myself, which was the money part, the fulfillment part, and the work-life balance. So you have to give yourself these checklists as well to make sure that you're on track with what you want to do with your life. And then here are just some questions from you that I saw in the Google poll. I know you guys had some questions about scholarships. Yes, college in general, not just pharmacy school, is super expensive. But the best thing to do is just look it up. Look it up online. Talk to your counselors. There's so much out there. Scholarships are free money. Kind of. You have to write an essay for a lot of them, but you just have to write an essay and you get free money. Why not do it? You literally you could write down, I know you guys tweet, you guys are on Facebook or whatever. If you guys could just type your thoughts like that and just go for a scholarship, you never know, free money. I had an interesting question about opinions on healthcare. This is a very long conversation, but just because on time, healthcare during the COVID era kind of magnified I guess, the weaknesses of our healthcare system. And I'll just leave it at that. If you're interested in that, look it up online, look it on YouTube on how healthcare or how the COVID era kind of magnified some issues with our healthcare system. Classes to become successful. I took a lot of classes, right? I took classes at Santa Cruz. I took classes at Cal State East Bay, which is here in Hayward in the Bay Area. And also I took a few classes in many different community colleges. But the only reason why I want to do this is because I want to keep my knowledge base intact, right? Because I took 3 years, right? Between Santa Cruz and UCSF. I want to make sure that my mind stays sharp and that, doesn't grow stale. And that's just me being a lifelong learner. And that's something that's really important if you want to be really successful in anything that you want to do. And then a very interesting question about hopes and dreams. This is a huge one. What I see is just, I mean, very simply, right? Just lots of running and working out. I mean, just be you, right? I'm just being me. That's honestly, at the end of the day, the daily, I hope I could do this. Have amazing relationships. This is something, as I don't know if you guys realize this, but me growing older and stuff like that, I just rely on relationships so much. Just me going through everything that I have, like I would not be where I am today without the amazing relationships I've had in my life. And, you know, Mr. Lee is one of those people that has helped me through a lot, you know, just being there. You know, even if he lives in SoCal and I live here in the Bay Area, that's just something that I hope you guys could really, I don't know, cultivate within yourself, that relationships are so important in just growing up. And then travel, you know, COVID, hopefully COVID could get out of here so I could just travel. You know, I want to visit SoCal, but of course I want to visit so many places. But yeah. And then a very, yeah, every day I can say that I'm happy and fulfilled despite what life throws at me. You know, it's like, this is just a very general thing, but I just hope that I can just wake up and just hope that I'm happy. And, you know, that's the ultimate dream. So these are my closing thoughts for you guys. Okay. I'm very excited for you all. I'm really happy that you gave me the opportunity to speak to you today. And quite honestly, I'm super jealous of where you guys are, because for myself, I've never had someone speak to me like this in high school, never had a lot of these career talks, honestly, and specifically in the healthcare field, because I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea at Santa Cruz. But you have your whole life ahead of you, and that's so exciting. I'm telling you. Second point, make mistakes. I'm actually telling you to make mistakes, because you don't grow if you don't make mistakes, because you don't learn if you don't make mistakes. So don't be nervous. I mean, it'll be okay. It'll all work out in the end. Third, be a lifelong learner. Question everything, right? Don't take everything like for granted. Don't take it for what it is, because that's what it is about us moving forward just as people. And just you yourself. You don't even have to be like me that wants to like think about everyone, but even just for yourself. How do you become a better version of yourself every day? You do that by being a lifelong learner. Fourth, be kind to yourself and to others. There's a lot of hate going on lately, just during COVID and stuff. It's just crazy. I would think that people will be nicer and stuff like that, just be more appreciative. But despite that, there's still hate. And we don't need that. And then lastly, be thankful. Be thankful and then show it. I am just so appreciative of my health, of just being at the university that I'm at, and to have the opportunity I have, because I know so many people don't. And wherever you're at, right, wherever you are at, whether you're in high school, whether you're a college dropout, right, just it doesn't matter. Just be thankful for the life you have and show it, just because that's just what life is all about. It's about expressing yourself. You were born to live on this earth. So I'm just reading it off. Do us all a favor and show us who you are, because that is what we deserve, is just to really meet everybody and just have amazing relationships together. And I hope you guys could take something out of these things that I've mentioned. I hope you learned a little bit today, but I just thank you all for at least giving me the time to share my thoughts with you.
All righty, everybody. I don't know how you can do it on the internet, but everyone give a round of applause to Steven for giving that wonderful presentation about pharmacy school, how he got there and all that stuff. Oh, I just love to see it. I love it. I love bringing my friends in, like, a lot of stuff. This is just beautiful. Just a beautiful moment. All right, guys. So we have like 9 more minutes left, and this is the part where you guys get to ask Steven anything. It's easier if you guys unmute, because I am recording on YouTube for the students that the sophomores or like that couldn't make it. If you guys could, if you have any questions, definitely unmute yourself, and definitely don't be afraid to ask them any questions. And this Q&A will go until the 3:30. And then once it's 3:30, it's going to be a wonderful weekend for you guys. And then we hope you guys have a nice weekend and all that. So Q&A, if you guys have any questions, definitely ask them right now. Yeah.
Personally, how does this job make you feel?
So, being a student, I feel, like I said, I feel super appreciative, super grateful to be at the university I'm at because I am learning from probably some of the greatest teachers, at least in the US. But as the job itself, I help, like my kind of like my goal is that I help at least one person a day. And I could say if I do that, I know I accomplished something. And that's not really something you could get out of, like, I would say, quote unquote, a normal job. Um, right? Because sometimes jobs are very routine and stuff like that. But I am fortunate, at least, because I'm only speaking for healthcare because that's all I know. But just me just helping people, and just if I could just give some information to make someone more healthy and to make more healthier decisions, and at the end of the day make them better, like that feels super good. And yeah, so I hopefully that answers your question, but yeah, I feel super good about it.
Yeah, and then one thing I forgot to mention: if you have a question, but you're kind of not sure if you're comfortable like saying it because it is recording, you can also privately message me as well, or Miss Ndaya, and we'll ask the question for you guys as well. Okay, you have that option as well. Okay, so we have a question in the chat, Stephen. So I'm just read it for you. One student asked, "How do you manage school and personal life?"
So this is a lifelong process for sure. How I do it today is that I just really stick to a schedule. I know that sounds super boring, sounds super lame, but when I'm on school, right? Because I have classes every day between, I would say, like 9 to like 3. I make sure that I'm on. Like I have that mindset. I don't know if you guys like play sports or anything like that. I like to relate to everything to sports, but it's like when you're playing, right? When you're playing or practicing sports, like you're on, you're playing. But then when you're off, right, you're like recovering or whatever, but you kind of do your own thing. So I guess that is my thing, is I try to make sure that my mindset is like focused on school when it's time for school, right? Basically from like 9 to 3. But then after that, I kind of like quote unquote clock out. And then I have my personal life, right? I work out a lot. I hang out with my friends and stuff, but it's a constant grind. It's not perfect every day. There's days where like I fall behind in my studies like anybody else, and I kind of have to sacrifice my personal life. But it's really just making sure that you stick to a schedule that works for you, right? Because some people are early birds, some people are night owls, but just really making sure that you stick to you and make sure that it makes you happy, right? But yeah, that's how I do it. Sticking to a schedule at the end of the day. Thanks, Anthony. I mean, I guess just to add, it's like it's very difficult. I mean, even as a high schooler, I mean, it was hard for me because, um, I mean, I did the full class load, right? I mean, if you think about it, so high school in terms of like classes is so much more than like college, because there's some days where I only have one class a day. I mean, you guys are in school from like 8 to what, 3:30 or so every single day. And if you guys do sports, if you guys have like other extracurriculars and stuff like that is insane. So it's just kind of like if you could start figuring it out today, I mean, 8:30 to 3:30, yeah. So it's just like a constant battle, just trying to figure it out. But if you have the mindset of like just be better than you were yesterday, it'll help you out in the long run. Grey's Anatomy, yeah. I would say if you actually want to have some, I'm not condoning that it's actual legit medical advice, but you should watch House. House is probably a little bit better if you want to kind of have a little bit more sciencey stuff. Grey's Anatomy is too dramatic for me. Sorry. The Queen of Rap? Who's the Queen of Rap? Yeah, I was about to say, is it Nicki or is it Cardi? I don't know. Right now, my favorite music genre, I've been listening to a lot of rap and R&B. Um, I love Chris Brown. I know he's not the role model, but you can't hate on his talent. So yeah, and then also I listen to Blast. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but I just found him. But he's like super smooth. So I kind of like this that smooth like kind of R&B slash rap music just for the vibe.
All right, and then we'll probably have one like time for like legit one more question before it's 3:30. All right.
I guess
So
I'll just say one other thing.
okay.
I don't think about school all the time. Oh, let me any advice for them as they apply for college next year? Okay, let me answer that then. How tall is Mr. Lee? What the heck? Okay, advice to apply for college next year. Really explore the colleges, right? Get as much information and stuff, and really try if you can. Try to figure out what you want to major in. I think that kind of gets you on the ground running once you get into school. And I think colleges like to know what you want to do. I'm not saying that you can't go undeclared, but um, it'll help a little bit. It'll help a little bit. Yeah. What I was gonna say is like whatever you guys' hobbies are and your passions and stuff, that will definitely get you through things. For me, like running and working out, that has got me through the grind of pharmacy school. At the end of the day, like I'm not a pharmacist, I'm not a pharmacy student. I'm like my passions. I'm the things that I enjoy doing, right? Like spending time with family, running and stuff like that. I mean, I watch Netflix too. You know, just make sure you do that. Don't forget to like live your life a little bit. I know work and school, I know about time, sorry about timing, but work and school is going to take a lot of part of your life, but don't forget to do the things that actually make you want to live and be a better human.
All right. Okay. So it is 3:30. So that's all the time we have. So once again, thank you, Stephen, for stopping by. Kids, enjoy your weekend. Hope you guys learned some really cool life lessons from Stephen. Stephen's the kind of guy you guys want to like be friends with, you know, and that's why he's here is to bring to the knowledge to the young people. Okay.